Once upon a time, in a quiet little village surrounded by green meadows and a shining river, there lived two sisters named Mangita and Larina. They lived in a small, cozy cottage at the edge of the forest with their father, who owned a little fruit shop in the village market. Mangita, the elder sister, was kind, hardworking, and gentle. Every morning she woke up before sunrise, swept the house, cooked breakfast, and then helped her father at the fruit shop. Her hands were always busy, but her heart was always calm. Larina, the younger sister, was very different. She disliked work and loved spending her days by the river, admiring her reflection in the water. She would brush her long golden hair and smile at herself. "Oh, look at me," she would say proudly. "I'm even more beautiful than Mangita today." While Mangita helped her father carry heavy baskets of apples, Larina sat by the river, singing and dreaming about a rich and easy life. One day, their father called both his daughters. His eyes were tired and full of sadness. "My dear daughters," he said gently, "I must go on a long journey for work. It may take many months before I return. Take care of each other and be kind." Tears filled Mangita's eyes. "Please, father, come back soon," she whispered. But Larina simply smiled. "Now I can do whatever I want," she thought secretly. That night, their father left the cottage and disappeared down the winding forest road. Mangita wept quietly by the window, while Larina smiled, humming to herself. "Now," she said, "I can sit by the river all night if I want." Days turned into weeks. Mangita worked harder than ever. She swept the floor every morning, cooked warm soup for lunch, washed the clothes, and took care of their small garden. Even though she was tired, she never complained. But Larina spent her days being lazy and mischievous. Sometimes she would walk into the kitchen and pour cold water into the soup that Mangita had cooked. Other times, she would step on the freshly cleaned carpets just to annoy her sister. When Mangita found the carpets dirty again, she sighed. "Oh, why are these carpets dirty? I just cleaned them." Larina would shrug and say, "Maybe the animals dirtied them." Then she would laugh and walk away. Mangita simply shook her head and continued working silently. One bright afternoon, Larina went for a walk in the forest. She wandered under the tall trees, humming a song and plucking fruits from the branches. But instead of eating them, she threw the green, unripe fruits into the river and laughed if they floated away. Suddenly, an old woman appeared, walking slowly with a stick. Her hair was silver and her face was wrinkled with age. "Dear child," said the old woman weakly, "I'm very hungry. Could you please give me some of those fruits?" Larina looked at her, pretending to smile. "Of course, Grandma," she said sweetly. "Here, have these. They're the most delicious strawberries in the world." But the strawberries were unripe and sour. The old woman took a bite, and her stomach twisted in pain. "Oh, my poor stomach," she groaned. Larina laughed quietly and walked away without helping her. That evening, Mangita went to the same forest to collect vegetables for dinner. As she walked by the riverbank, she noticed the old woman lying weakly under a tree. Without a second thought, Mangita ran to her side. "Oh no, dear grandmother, what happened to you?" The old woman smiled faintly. I'm not feeling well." Mangita helped her stand, brought her home, and laid her gently on her own bed. When Lina saw the woman, she wrinkled her nose in disgust. "Who is this filthy old woman? She smells terrible." "Don't say that, Lina," said Mangita kindly. "She's sick. We must take care of her." For the next few days, Mangita cooked hot soups and made herbal tea for the old woman. She stayed by her side, wiping her forehead, making sure she was comfortable. But Lina was still cruel. She secretly poured the soup into the sink and mixed dirt into the tea. When Mangita found out, she cried, "Lina, did you put dirt in this tea?" Lina crossed her arms. "No, the old woman must have done it herself." Mangita didn't argue. She simply made another pot of tea and fed the woman lovingly. A few days later, the old woman recovered. Her eyes sparkled with warmth as she held Mangita's hands. "You have a kind heart, my dear," she said. "If you ever fall ill, eat these blueberries. They will heal you." She handed Mangita a small pouch filled with glowing blue berries, and then disappeared into the forest like a breeze. Weeks passed. Mangita worked day and night until her body grew weak and pale. One morning, she couldn't even get out of bed. "Lina," she whispered faintly, "please bring me the blueberries the old woman gave me." Lina looked at her sick sister, then at the pouch of berries on the table. They looked delicious, she thought, and ate them all herself. When Mangita asked, "Where are they?" Lina replied coldly, "Maybe the birds you fed ate them all." Mangita grew weaker with each passing day, her face pale and her hands trembling. One afternoon, Lina sat by the river again, brushing her hair, smiling at her reflection. Suddenly, she saw the old woman standing behind her in the water's reflection. The woman's voice was calm but firm. "Child, where is your sister?" Lina frowned. "Why do you care? She went out to work." But the old woman knew she was lying. She turned and walked toward the cottage. When she arrived, she saw Mangita lying, weak and helpless, her skin pale, her breath faint. "Oh, my dear child," the old woman cried, kneeling beside her. "You saved me once. Now it's my turn." From the window, Lina laughed mockingly. "She's wasting her time," she said. At that very moment, the old woman began to glow. Her ragged clothes shimmered into golden silk. Her gray hair turned into bright silver light. Before Lina's eyes, the old woman transformed into a beautiful fairy. Lina gasped. "You're a fairy! Please, please make me the most beautiful girl in the world!" "Quickly, use your magic!" The fairy's voice grew stern. "I gave you a chance to show kindness, but you chose to hurt others." She raised her wand, and a swirl of golden light surrounded Lina. Suddenly, Lena's long hair turned into thick, green ivy vines that coiled around her head. Lena screamed in horror. "My hair! What happened to my hair? Help me!" She ran to the river to look at her reflection, but the sight made her cry even louder. Her beauty was gone, her vanity destroyed. The fairy turned back to Mangita, gently feeding her one last blueberry from her pouch. Mangita's eyes fluttered open and she smiled weakly. "Thank you, fairy," she whispered. "I feel better now." The fairy smiled. "Kindness always brings healing, my dear." With a wave of her wand, the small cottage turned into a grand golden palace. The walls sparkled like the morning sun, and flowers bloomed all around. Mangita looked around in awe. "This is beautiful. But where is my sister? She will remain by the river," said the fairy, forever staring at her reflection. Mangita's eyes filled with tears. "No, I don't want to live in this palace alone. Please, bring my sister back. I forgive her." The fairy looked at her kindly. "You are truly pure of heart, Mangita. Love and forgiveness are the greatest magic of all." The fairy waved her wand once more. The palace faded away, turning back into their little cottage by the river. Lena's ivy hair turned back into her golden locks. Lena ran to her sister and hugged her tightly. "Oh, Mangita, you saved me. I was so foolish. I'll never hurt you again." Mangita smiled softly. "We'll start fresh together." And from that day on, the two sisters worked side by side, cooking, cleaning, laughing, and helping others. They learned that true happiness doesn't come from beauty or riches, but from love, kindness, and the joy of sharing life together. And so, dear friends, the sisters lived happily ever after, in their small cottage by the river, where kindness grew brighter than gold. Moral of the story: true beauty lies in kindness. Happiness becomes more beautiful when shared.